Okay, so today I'm going to be painting a flamingo. I'm going to be doing it in my usual ink and watercolor sketching style, and it's great because I can just do all my details in drawing, and then I will just need a quick watercolor wash to finish it off. So I'm just going to quickly sketch the guy, and I'm using a waterproof fine liner, which means that I can just apply watercolor on top of it. If you don't have a waterproof fine liner, just do a pencil sketch, then apply watercolor, and then you can put the ink on top if you want to, or you can just leave it as a watercolor purely. So I'm just using one of the photos that I found online for the reference, and I'm just trying to recreate what I see on the photo. The most important thing here, it's not a hard, difficult thing to sketch, but the most important thing here is make sure that we remember that it's actually a 3D object, so it's got some shape. The neck is round, the body is round, so we need to remember that. And we also need to pay really close attention to the proportions. That's the main thing with living creatures. We really need to see the proportions there. I'm just adding a little feathers for my drawing, and then I can just apply a quick watercolor wash, and it's gonna be done. So there is a little tail feathers in there. Where I see the feathers, I'm using the feathery motion on my drawing. Otherwise, I'm trying to keep my lines straight and clear. Okay, that's the legs done, and it's standing somewhere in the water, so I'm gonna add some lines to show that I made the neck a little bit chunkier than needed, but because I'm doing it in pen, there is really not much I can do about it, so I'll just have to live with it. So now with the drawing done, I am going to apply a background wash, which will be roughly the same color as the flamingo itself. So I'm trying to mix this warm pink color by mixing a cool and the warm reds in different proportions to see what works. And then, because it's watercolor, to make color lighter, we need to add more water to it. If you are using any of the opaque paints like acrylics or oil or gouache even, then you can add you will have to add some white to your paint, but with watercolor you just need to dilute it with water and make sure to find this kind of a milky consistency so that it's not too watery, otherwise it's gonna take ages to dry. So I'm just quickly applying this wash, and then I'm going over the flamingo itself, so because it's roughly the same color, I maybe wipe a little bit here at the top because that's where the light is gonna come, so I can leave a little bit of, and the beak as well. So if I want to wipe something out with watercolor, I need to clean my brush and wipe it this way. And then I'm gonna add just a touch of blue for where the water is, and also where the water is, I'm going to try to recreate the texture of the water by doing this horizontal lines. Okay, so now ideally I would like to leave it to dry a little bit, but I'll try to just use a little drier color and go straight in. I'm using one brush for both overall wash and the detail, because if you have a good quality round brush with a fine tip, you can do everything with one brush, which is good. So here again, as I said before, we need to remember that it's actually a 3D form, so we need to remember thinking about light and shade and how this form is represented. So where on the photo it looks like the light is coming from the top right, so it means that the top right of the object is gonna be light, and the bottom left is going to be a shadow. So the shadow will obviously be cooler and darker. Cooler, it means we add a little bit of blue to it, and then the light is going to be warmer and lighter, obviously. And then again, I'm just trying to, without too much of detail, but still where I have feathers, I'll try to apply it in a feathery manner. And just I might want to come back to this once it's dry and add a little bit more shadow. And then I'm just gonna use the same purpley color for the legs. Okay, so now I'm just going to go back a little bit to some of the shadow areas just to darken them a little bit. It's still quite wet. Ideally, I wanted it to dry, so if you are doing the same, just be patient and let it fully dry before you try to darken it again. And here it's a little bit, still a bit wet, my background, but you get the idea. And I'm just gonna add a few more watery marks. And that's it.